When we think of religion or a religious mind, we think of a system, a structure hallowed by time and ancient mysteries, a sense of awe, a power greater than ourselves, and also fear at this overwhelming majesty. Devotion wells up. The rules of organized religions, the dogmas, creeds, and commandments, have been sanctified over the centuries. Should these rules be ignored, dire consequences are said to occur, from hellfire and the torments of the damned to bad karma and reappearance in another life in a lowly, not to say subhuman form. Do we still need these threats of a boogeyman? Are the myths and traditions of the past enriching us, or have they become sterile shells? The word religion comes from the Latin religare, meaning to bind together or bind back. Is a mind that is bound to the past truly religious? Krishnamurti on the religious mind.
What is the quality of a mind, and therefore heart and brain, that can perceive something beyond the measurement of thought? What is the quality of a mind? Because that quality is the religious mind. That quality of a mind that is capable, that has this feeling of being sacred in itself, and therefore is capable of seeing something immeasurably sacred.
The word devotion seems to imply this when it's grasped in its proper sense. To use your earlier phrase, gathering together,
yes,
toward a one-pointed, attentive.
Attention is, would you say attention is one-pointed? There's a difference between concentration and attention.
Yes, yes.
Concentration is exclusion. I concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
That is, bring all my thinking to a certain point. Whereas, and therefore, it is excluding, building a barrier so that it can focus its whole attention on that, whole concentration on that. Whereas attention is something entirely different from concentration. In that, there is no exclusion. In that, there is no resistance. In that, there is no effort. And therefore, no frontier, no limits.
How would you feel about the word receptive in this respect?
Again, who is it that is to receive?
Already we've made a division. With that word.
Yeah. I think the word attention is a really very good word. Because it not only understands concentration, not only sees the duality of reception, the receiver and the received, and also it sees the nature of duality and the conflict of the opposites. And attention means not only the brain giving its energy, but also the mind, the heart, the nerve, the total entity, total human mind, giving all its energy to be to perceive. I think that's that's the meaning of that word for me at least. To be attentive, attend, not concentrate, attend. That means listen, see, give your heart to it, give your mind to it, give your whole being to it, to attend. Otherwise you can't attend. If I'm thinking about something else, I can't attend.
No.
If I'm hearing my own voice, I can't attend. Most of us are slaves to tradition, slaves to some kind of belief, faith, or to experience. To be totally, completely free of all that. Freedom, as we said before, that very word implies love. If there is no freedom, there is no love. You cannot possibly achieve that freedom through some figure, symbol, person, idea. Freedom means the ending. Ending of the self, the me. The images I have about myself. Then when the mind, brain is free, only then is there that supreme intelligence. Not all the rituals, all the, all the trivialities, for God's sake. Sitting in a posture, meditating, breathing, you follow? That's not, if one can use that word spiritual, that's not all. That's all the movement of memory and thought. And so as thought is limited, which we've gone into, I won't now. So we have reduced our life into a very small, petty little affair. To be free of that entirely. And it's possible. Don't accept my word for it. I say it is possible. Find out, do it. To find out what is religion, we must negate what it is not. What is not love? Which love is not hate, love is not jealousy, love is not ambition, love is not the violence. So when you negate all that, the other is, which is compassion. In the same way, if you negate what is not religion, then you find out what is true religion. That is, what is the truly religious mind. First of all, therefore, belief is not religion. And the authority which the churches, the organized religions assume, is not religion. That is, in that there is all the sense of obedience, conformity, acceptance, the hierarchical approach to life, the division between the Protestant, the Catholic, the Hindu, the Muslim and all, that's not religion. So when you negate all that, which means you are no longer a Hindu, no longer a Catholic, no longer belonging to any sectarian outlook, then your mind then asks, what is then truly religion? This is not with their rituals, with their masters, with their savior. That's not religion. Therefore, when the mind discards that intelligently because it has seen it is not, then what is religion? Religion is not what I think, but religion is this sense of comprehension of the totality of existence, in which there is no division between you and me. Then, if there is that quality of goodness which is virtue, real virtue, not this phony virtue of society, real virtue, then the mind can go beyond and find out through meditation, through a deep, quiet silence, you can find out if there is such thing as reality. And therefore, a religious mind is a mind that is constantly aware, sensitive, attentive, so that it goes beyond itself into a dimension where there is no time at all. Your life, what is your life? What is that life that you daily live? Dependence, attachment, pain, annoyance, anger, irritation, sorrow. You know all this, don't you? This is your daily life. Going to the temple and doing some kind of noise with the bell and doing puja, doing yoga, that we say that is our life. Then what do you mean by a religious life? You tell me, what does religion mean to you? The word religion means to gather all your energy. That's all they mean. You understand, sir? To gather all your energy to inquire, to find. Right? Would you? Not all the nonsense of temples, rituals, and all this either, sir. What you put on your head. You see how you all agree? The meaning of the word. That means gathering every particle of energy that you have to inquire into what is truth and what is reality, to inquire into what is meditation, to inquire into why human beings live the way we are living, to inquire if there is an end to sorrow, to inquire into what is love, whether one can live without any effort, and control all that is implied in that word. A religious life implies being a light to yourself, which means no outside authority, including me, the speaker. Have you any authority? Spiritual authority? You have had various Guru Mahatma, Mr. Gandhi, and so on, all the way from the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd century, down to the present. And where are you, having been led for these thousands years? Where are you? Or you want to be still led? So I'm asking, we are asking you courteously, if you have thrown away your traditions. Yes, traditions being nationality, your caste, your beliefs, your rituals, going to the temples, all that. Have you thrown it away? No? No. Then how can you find out what a religious life is when you are blind? So you want to find out what a religious life is, and yet won't leave your little enclosure. Right? You are tied to your tradition, and you want to inquire into something that demands a mind that is capable, a heart that can really love. Without that, freeing yourself from your tradition, your culture, your belief, how can you find out anything? You can repeat what the Gita said, or the Upanishads, or some other book. What value has it? What are we all playing at, sirs? Apparently, one doesn't see one's own tragedy. Right, sir? So space in the mind means the emptying of consciousness of all its content, and therefore the consciousness which thought as the me has created ends, and therefore there is space. And that space isn't yours or mine, it's space.
Yes, yes. I was thinking of the creation story in Genesis, and this space is called heaven, isn't it? And in the context
It is heaven.
it is heaven.
That's right.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. But then we read that, you see, and we don't.
Goodness, so space, direction, time, will, choice, control. You understand, sir? Now, all that has importance in my living, in the daily living of my life, of every human being. If he doesn't know what the meaning of meditation, he merely lives in that field of knowledge. And therefore that becomes a prison. And therefore that being a prison, he says, I must escape through entertainment, through gods, through this and through that, through amusement. You know, that's what is actually taking place.
The word vacation.
Vacation, that's right.
Says it all.
Yes, that's
doesn't
right.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
To vacate is to exit into space.
Space. Space means silence. If there is silence, if there is no silence, it's direction. It's the operation of will. I must do, I must not do. I must practice this, I must get this. You follow? Silence isn't the cessation of noise. Silence isn't something that thought has created. It comes naturally, inevitably, as you open, as you observe, as you examine, as you investigate. So then the question arises, silence, without a movement. Movement of direction, movement of thought, movement of time, or silence. Now, that silence, can that operate in my daily life? I live in the field of noise as knowledge. That I have to do. And is there a living with silence and at the same time the other? For me, it is possible. Therefore, I'm not saying it out of vanity, or I say this in great humility. I say that is possible. It is so. Then what takes place? When the mind is utterly silent, what is the immeasurable? You follow, sir? What is the everlasting? What is the eternal? Not in terms of God and all these things man has invented. Actually to be that. I don't know if Now, silence in that deep sense of that word opens the door. Because you've got there all your energy. Not a thing is wasted. There is no dissipation of energy at all. Therefore, in that silence there is summation of energy.
Precisely.
Because there is no conflict, no control, no reaching out or not reaching, searching, asking, questioning, demanding, waiting, praying, none of that. Therefore there is all that energy which has been wasted is now gathered in that silence. That silence has become sacred. Because obviously,
Of course it has.
it has not the sacred thing which thought has invented. It is only such a sacred mind can see this, the most supreme sacred. The essence of all that is sacred, which is beauty. You follow?
I do.
So there it is. God isn't something that man has invented or created it out of his image and longing and failure. But when the mind itself becomes sacred, then it opens the door to something that is immeasurably sacred. That is religion. And that affects the daily living. The way I talk, the way I treat people, the conduct, behavior, all that. That is the religious life.